500,000 miles. That's some damn insane feat for any car, even those touted with superior reliability. Still, I am not saying that it's impossible. You just have to pick a car that is really built to survive the really, really long haul, just like the ones that I am about to show you. Hello everyone, this is Scott from CarlandTV. It's time to get in the front seat as today, I am going to hand down some of the ultra-reliable vehicles that could potentially last 500,000 miles or more and still run. Before I start, I would really appreciate it if you would push those buttons below, the subscribe button, the notification bell, all of them. This is not necessary, but those little clicks help a brother out. Plus, it pushes me to give you more valuable car-related content on your screen. Now, buckle up, and let's get back to the video. Chevrolet Silverado 1500, 2001 to 2004. If you've ever owned or worked on a 2001 to 2004 Chevy Silverado 1500, you already know it's not just another half-ton pickup. It's one of the last real trucks GM built before things got overcomplicated with electronics and gimmicks. These rigs came off the line with the kind of bones that make mechanics smile, such as its bulletproof 5.3-liter Vortec V8 under the hood, a stout frame, simple wiring, and drivetrains that could take a beating and keep hauling. It's the kind of truck you see with 300,000 miles on the clock and still starting on the first crank. Doors closing with that solid thunk, and a bed full of tools or lumber, like it just rolled off the lot. There's a reason so many of these are still on the road, and by all means it's not nostalgia. It's because they were built to do the job and do it for the long haul. The heart of this truck is the 5.3-liter Vortec V8, which is the LM7. That's an iron block with aluminum heads, and it's a combo that gives you strength and helps shed heat, which is key for longevity. Inside, it got powdered metal rods, a nodular iron crank, and hyper-eutectic pistons. These things can take heat and abuse way better than your average cast stuff. It also has a roller cam and roller rockers, so there's less friction and less wear over time. Yeah, some of them get that cold start piston slap, especially in colder climates, but that noise doesn't mean it's dying. Once it warms up, it quiets down, and it's more of an annoyance than a real issue. Now, that V8's usually paired with a 4L60E transmission. That's a 4-speed auto that's been around like, what? Forever? It ain't perfect. It has its weak points like the sun shell and valve body if you're towing heavy without a cooler. However, it's easy to rebuild and cheap to fix. Parts are everywhere. Keep the fluid fresh and don't overheat it, and it'll run a long time. And when it does go, a rebuild or swap won't break the bank. One of the things I love about this truck is it's built like a real truck. It's a full-on body-on-frame setup. Up front, it's got hydroformed frame rails, which are stiffer and stronger than the old C-channel style. Out back, you've got a solid rear axle with leaf springs, no air ride nonsense to worry about. Up front is a double wishbone setup with torsion bars on the 4-wheel drive models, or coils if you're in a 2-wheel drive. Nothing fancy, just tough suspension parts you can replace in your driveway. As for axles, most half-tons came with the GM 10-bolt rear. It's fine for daily duty and light towing. But if you have the towing package or a heavier-duty setup, you might have the semi-float rear, which is even better. Both are solid if you keep the diff fluid clean. Throw in some synthetic gear oil and go. For 4-wheel drive, you'll either see the NP261 manual shift or the NV246 auto track. The NP261 is bomb-proof. The NV24060 is fine, but the encoder motor can flake out. Still, it's just a bolt-on part, which is an easy fix. What really keeps these trucks going is how simple everything is. The HVAC system is manual. It's about cables and resistors, not electronic blend doors or fancy climate control modules that fail every 80,000 miles. The seats are tough too. No power or memory to fail. It is just solid foam, steel frames, and durable cloth. The same goes for the switches and controls. If one dies, you can find one at any junkyard or parts store and slap it in without needing a scan tool. Toyota Camry, 2012 to 2017. When I think of a car that's built to go the distance, the Toyota Camry is one of the first that comes to mind. By all means, it's not flashy or cutting edge, but what it does have is solid engineering and the kind of reliability that makes it a top contender for hitting 500,000 miles. Toyota's been known for building cars that just keep on running, and the Camry is no exception. With a reputation for low maintenance costs and a smooth ride, this sedan is all about getting you from A to B without any fuss. In particular, the The 2012 to 2017 models of the Camry give you two solid engine choices. The standard 2.5-liter 2ARFE inline-4 engine is built for durability. It delivers a respectable 178 horsepower and is super fuel efficient. The aluminum block and dual variable valve timing are key features that improve both performance and economy. I've seen these engines go for hundreds of thousands of miles with minimal issues, but there have been some reports of camshaft timing gear problems, particularly if you don't stay on top of maintenance. That's an issue that you might not want to ignore, so be sure to listen for any rattling during cold starts and get that checked out. But honestly, with regular oil changes and attention to the little things, this engine could easily last well past 300,000 miles, even 500,000. For a bit more power, there's the 3.5-liter 2GR FEV6 engine, which cranks out 268 horsepower. It's a beast for those who like some extra punch, but still reliable. It's got an aluminum alloy block and chain-driven camshafts, which means fewer issues down the line compared to traditional belts. The only common issue I've heard of with this engine is ignition coil failure around 200,000 miles or so. That's nothing that regular maintenance and timely repairs won't take care of, though. Both engine options are paired with Toyota's well-known U660E 6-speed automatic transmission. This transmission is smooth, and it's built to last. A lot of owners report no issues with it for the life of the car, but like any transmission, you'll still want to stay on top of fluid changes. There have been some complaints about rough shifting in higher mileage models, and some owners have even seen transmission failures, but that's usually around the 160,000 mile mark. Keeping an eye on it and addressing shifting issues early can help you avoid a major problem down the road. What I really like about the Camry is its construction. Toyota doesn't mess around when it comes to the chassis and frame. The body is a mix of high-strength steel, giving it a solid foundation that's resistant to wear and corrosion. The suspension is set up for both comfort and longevity. You've got McPherson struts up front and a multi-link rear, which means smooth handling without compromising the ride quality. These systems are low maintenance, but if you drive in rough conditions, you might see some wear on the suspension components after a while. When it comes to interior materials, Toyota doesn't skimp. The plastics and fabrics are durable, and they hold up well to the wear and tear of daily driving. Even the seats and steering wheel stay looking good for longer than you'd expect. The electrical system in the Camry is also pretty straightforward. You won't get bogged down by complicated electronics that can fail you, which is something I really appreciate. Some owners have had minor electrical issues, things like sensor failures or problems with the infotainment system, but nothing that should cause major headaches. Regular maintenance is key if you want your Camry to hit that 500,000 mile mark. Stick to the oil change intervals, check the fluids, and make sure to catch any issues before they turn into bigger problems. The Camry is easy to work on, which is another reason it lasts so long. Whether you're doing it yourself or having a mechanic handle it, everything is pretty straightforward. Mazda MX-5 Miata 2019. Some cars are built to be fast, and some are built to be practical, but the 2019 Mazda MX-5 Miata is both. It's built to be driven. Every mile in this little roadster feels like an event, and what's even better is that it can keep going for hundreds of thousands of miles without breaking a sweat. Mazda engineered this thing to last, and with the right care, you could see well past 500,000 miles on the odometer. This isn't just about reliability on paper, it's about real-world durability that makes it one of the toughest and most rewarding sports cars you can buy. When this model hit the market, it had a starting price of around $26,650 for the base sport trim, with the Club and Grand Touring trims offering extra features without compromising on reliability. It has a 2-liter Skyactiv-G inline-4 P5 VP engine that pushes out 181 horsepower and 151 pound-foot of torque. Mazda gave the 2019 model some nice upgrades such as lighter pistons and rods, better cam profiles, and a redesigned intake to make it rev higher, up to 7,500 RPM, while staying rock solid. The aluminum block and head keep it light and help with heat dissipation, while forged steel connecting rods make sure it can take a beating without breaking down. The plasma-coated piston skirts are also a thing of beauty, as they cut down friction, so you're not losing power to unnecessary drag. Plus, the timing chain means you won't have to worry about belt replacements every 100,000 miles. The Skyactiv MT 6-speed manual is one of the best shifting gearboxes out there during the release of this model. It is tight, smooth, and built to last. For 2019, Mazda fine-tuned it for even crisper shifts. If you go with the 6-speed automatic, it has a lock-up torque converter to cut down on slippage, which helps keep it cooler and extends its life. But to be honest, both transmissions are simple and well-engineered, so they're not prone to the kind of failures you see in more complex setups. Now let's talk about the chassis and suspension. The ND Miata is all about keeping things light but strong. The frame is a mix of high-strength steel and aluminum, from its hood and trunk lid down to its suspension components, so it's resistant to rust and still lightweight. Up front, you've got a double wishbone suspension, and the rear runs a multi-link setup, which gives you sharp handling without sacrificing ride quality. If you go for the club trim, you can snag the Brembo front brakes and BBS wheels, which not only add performance, but are built to take years of hard driving. The suspension bushings are easy to service, so you're not stuck replacing an entire component just because of a worn-out bushing. Of course, what I want to emphasize here is that the 2019 Miata could last that long because of its simplicity. No turbo means no extra heat, no intercoolers, no high-pressure fuel systems. Instead, it is just an old-school, naturally aspirated engine that keeps things straightforward. The coil-on-plug ignition system reduces ignition failures, and the direct injection system is paired with sodium-filled exhaust valves, which help with heat dissipation and keep things running smoothly. The stainless steel exhaust resists rust, so it won't rot out on you like some cheaper systems. Mazda didn't cheap out on corrosion protection either. The Miata has galvanized steel panels, anti-corrosion coatings, and factory-applied undercoating and sealants, so rust isn't going to be a problem unless you really neglect it. Keep it clean and it'll hold up for decades. Toyota 4Runner, 2003 to 2009, 2010 to present. If the Toyota 4Runner were a firearm, it'd be a battle-proven AK-47. It's simple, rugged, and damn near indestructible. It's the kind of rig that you can drag through the mud, take a beating, and still expect it to fire up without hesitation. Whether you're hauling gear to the range, navigating backcountry trails, or just need a vehicle that won't leave you stranded, the 4Runner has your back. Some folks have pushed these things past 400,000 miles, and while 500K isn't super common, it's not impossible if you keep up with maintenance. The 4th Gen and 5th Gen are absolute tanks, built tough with tried-and-true engineering that doesn't rely on gimmicky tech. I think this is the aspect that people keep missing out about the 4Runner. Under the hood, the 4Runner packs the legendary 4-liter V61G RFE engine. This engine is a beast. It's an aluminum DOHC with VVT-I, strong iron cylinder sleeves, and a timing chain instead of a belt, so you're not shelling out cash for replacements every 100K miles. It even has a low-stress design, which is why it just keeps going. Sure, at higher mileage, you might run into a head gasket issue, a water pump replacement, or an ignition coil acting up, but that's standard wear and tear for a motor that'll likely outlast your patience. The transmission is another reason the 4Runner lasts. Toyota is stuck with a 5-speed automatic A750F transmission, and while it's not the fanciest thing out there, it's tough as diamonds. No CVTs here, just a solid torque converter and beefy planetary gears that don't need a rebuild every 100,000 miles. Keep up with your fluid changes, and you'll be good for the long haul. Toyota even throws in a trans cooler in many models, which helps keep things cool when towing or crawling up trails. Speaking of trails, the 4Runner still rocks a body-on-frame setup, which is damn solid. That means it's built like a truck, not some flimsy unibody crossover. Toyota went with a fully boxed high-strength steel frame, so it holds up to years of abuse. That said, if you're in the Rust Belt, keep an eye out, as some 4th-gen 4Runners are known to get rusty pretty quickly, sometimes within just a few years. Toyota improved rust protection in later models, but if you live where they salt the roads, get an undercoating ASAP. The suspension setup is also built for longevity. Up front, it has a double wishbone independent setup, while the back rocks a solid axle with coil springs. That solid rear axle is a huge win for durability. It has fewer moving parts, which means fewer headaches too. If you're into off-roading, the rear diff is built strong, and some trims come with an e-locker to keep things locked up when the trail gets gnarly. One of the biggest reasons the 4Runner lasts forever is its simplicity. Toyota didn't go overboard with turbochargers, direct injection, or CVTs, things that tend to fail on modern SUVs. The naturally aspirated V6 and traditional fuel injection mean fewer moving parts and less chance of catastrophic failure. Less fancy tech also means fewer expensive repairs down the road. Ford F-350, 1999 to 2007. When it comes to trucks that refuse to quit, the 1999 to 2007 models of the Ford F-350 are a straight-up legend. This isn't just another heavy-duty pickup. It's one of the toughest workhorses ever built. Whether you're hauling a massive trailer, running a ranch, or just need something that'll survive decades of abuse, this truck delivers. Ford didn't mess around with this generation, reinforcing the frame with fully boxed front rails and a beefy C-channel rear section to handle extreme loads without cracking under pressure. It's the kind of truck that keeps going long after others have been sent to the scrapyard. And that's why so many of them are still on the road today. Now, let's talk about what really makes this truck a legend, which is its Power-Stroke diesel engine. If you get your hands on the 1999 to 2003 F-350, you've basically got one of the most bulletproof diesel engines ever made. This thing has a cast-iron block, a forged steel crankshaft, and connecting rods that can take a beating. The 7.3-liter runs a hydraulic electronic unit injector fuel system, which uses high-pressure oil from a dedicated pump to pressurize the fuel injectors. Excuse me, but that's just a fancy way of saying it doesn't need a traditional high-pressure fuel pump, which means fewer parts to fail. The turbocharger, a Garrett GTP38, is simple and waste-gated, meaning you don't have to deal with all the complex variable geometry nonsense that wears out in modern diesel. Plus, no emissions headaches, as there's no EGR or DPF to clog up and cause problems. If you've got a 6-liter version of the engine, which is found on the 2004 to 2007 models of the F-350, things are a little different. The 6-liter has more power and a variable geometry turbo, which helps with throttle response. But Ford didn't get it quite right from the factory. This engine had some known issues, like weak head bolts and a finicky EGR cooler. The good news is that with a few upgrades, like ARP head studs and an improved EGR setup, the 60-liter can also go the distance. It still has a cast-iron block and aluminum 4-valve heads, so the core of the engine is solid. It just needs some love to be as reliable as the 7.3-liter. The transmissions in these trucks are also pretty tough. The 7.3-liter came with the 4R100 automatic, which is a solid piece of work with a beefy planetary gear set and an electronically controlled valve body. If you keep the fluid fresh and throw in an auxiliary transcooler, it'll last a long time. The 6-liter has the 5R110 torque shift, which has adaptive shift learning and better cooling, making it more reliable under heavy loads. If you're a manual guy, the ZFS 66506 speed is about as tough as they come. I am talking about a cast-iron case, synchronized gears, and no real weak points. Cooling is another strong suit on these trucks. The 7.3-liter has a big dual-pass aluminum radiator and an external oil cooler to keep temps in check, even when towing heavy. The cooling fan clutch is mechanically actuated, so there are no electronics to fail. The 6-liter models have an even bigger radiator and an extra oil cooler, though the factory setup sometimes clogs up and needs maintenance. But for me, what really sets the F-350 apart, though, is how easy it is to work on. The engine bay is spacious enough to actually get to stuff without pulling the whole front end apart. Parts are everywhere, and there's a massive aftermarket for upgrades. Sure, every truck has weak points, but with the right maintenance and a few mods, the F-350 can roll past 500,000 miles like it's no big deal.